They don't want you to hear this. Marjorie Taylor Greene just exposed the NPR CEO for teaming up with Biden's administration to silence free speech. And guess what? You paid for it with your tax dollars. This is the smoking gun the mainstream media doesn't want you to see.
And this past November, you called him a deranged racist and sociopath. You posted on X that America is addicted to white supremacy. It's appalling. You've publicly chastised using the phrase boy and girl, which you said erases the language for non-binary people. There's only two genders, by the way. Ms. Maher, the federal funding that your outlet receives comes from all American taxpayer dollars, not just from your viewers who support such statements as these. Let me inform you, and that your federal funding is also paid for by the other half of the country, the 77 million Americans who voted for President Trump, someone you called a deranged, racist sociopath. Ms. Maher, many find your pro-censorship and anti-free speech views more concerning than your politics. The only speech you like seems to be speech that you agree with. In 2021, you called the First Amendment the #1 challenge in American journalism because it makes it hard to crack down on bad information. You said in a TED Talk that our reverence for the truth might be a distraction. You've also expressed support for deplatforming individuals you view as fascist. Who do you think should be charged with cracking down on so-called bad information? Is it NPR? Is it the government? Is it you, Ms. Maher?
Congresswoman, Madam Chair, thank you so much for the opportunity to address this. I know.
Do you is it up to you and NPR to crack down on bad information or decide the truth? Answer the question, yes or no, Ms. Maher.
Absolutely not. I'm a very strong believer in free speech, and I believe that more speech.
Your public statements say otherwise. Ms. Maher, in 2021, when speaking at an Atlantic Council event, you said that when you were CEO of Wikipedia, you took a very active approach to disinformation and misinformation. During the COVID pandemic and the 2020 election, you said you censored information through conversations with government. Which governments were those, Ms. Maher? The Biden administration, yes or no?
Madam Chair, Wikipedia never censored any information.
These are your public statements, Ms. Maher. Ms. Maher, are you familiar with Section 399B of the Communications Act? It prohibits non-commercial education broadcast stations, NCEs, from airing commercials on behalf of for-profit entities. The FCC recently opened an investigation into the underwriting announcements and related policies of NPR and PBS. Does NPR air commercials for for-profit entities, Ms. Maher? Yes or no?
Madam Chair, we are in full compliance with the FCC's inquiry and will continue to cooperate.
I remind you, you're under oath, and violations of the Communications Act comes with a fine up to $10,000 and possibly up to a year in prison. Does PBS air for-profit commercials, Ms. Kruger?
We air underwriting announcements, and we believe we are in full compliance with the FCC, and we look forward to delivering the material required in this part of this investigation.
We look forward to that, too. I'm assuming you're concerned, both of you are concerned about this, and that's why you brought so many attorneys with you today. Ms. Kruger, using taxpayer subsidies, PBS funded Independent Lens to make documentaries for part of your programming. In 2016, Real Boy was aired about a trans teen navigating adolescent sobriety and the ramification of his gender identity. In 2022, the same series aired Our League, in which a trans woman comes to her old school Ohio bowling league in a story about transition. Then in 2024, A Racist Trees was aired, telling a story of how in Palm Springs, a black neighborhood fights to remove a divisive wall of trees. Do you think PBS needs to fund ridiculous material such as this that the taxpayers are having to pay for?
These are documentary films that are point-of-view pieces that are part of our primetime schedule for adults.
And parents and adults don't trust that type of programming.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I ask a unanimous consent.
All right, folks, welcome back to Jace Manhwa. If you love truth, free speech, and exposing the hypocrisy of the radical left, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe right now. It helps me fight back against the censorship machine and keeps this channel alive. Let's get right into it. So, Marjorie Taylor Greene just lit into NPR CEO Katherine Maher, and it was something every American needs to see. Greene didn't hold back. She exposed Maher's history of trashing Trump voters, calling President Trump a deranged racist sociopath, and pushing radical gender ideology. And here's the kicker. This woman now runs NPR, a so-called public news outlet that lives off taxpayer money. That means your hard-earned dollars are paying for her political activism. Think about that. Over 77 million Americans voted for Trump, and yet the head of NPR openly despises them. How can NPR possibly claim to be fair, balanced, or represent all Americans when its leadership is this deeply biased? Greene asked a simple, straightforward question. Has NPR been working hand in hand with the Biden administration to censor speech? And based on Maher's record, the answer is obvious. She's been part of this elite network of so-called misinformation warriors who think the First Amendment is a problem, not a cornerstone of freedom. Maher tried to defend herself, saying she supports free speech, but actions speak louder than words. Her time at Wikipedia was full of content moderation that always seemed to lean one way, against conservatives, against Christians, against patriots. Now she's bringing that same playbook to NPR. And the worst part? They expect us to bankroll it. This is exactly why people like Greene are demanding accountability and why Republicans are pushing to cut off NPR's funding. Why should American taxpayers be forced to pay for propaganda that works against them? If the left wants their echo chambers, let them fund it themselves. We don't need state-sponsored media that silences one half of the country. At the end of the day, this is about more than just NPR. It's about whether free speech still exists in America or whether unelected elites and their media allies get to decide what we're allowed to say, hear, or believe. And I'll tell you right now, Patriots are sick of it and we won't stand for it. So, do you agree with Greene that it's time to pull the plug on NPR's taxpayer funding? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Jace Manhwa, because we're going to keep bringing the truth no matter how hard the establishment tries to shut us up.